go. Here we go. So, in this video, I'm thinking about a whole range of things that are very interesting to touch base on. Um, yeah, so first and foremost is I was having a conversation yesterday with my sweetheart, and I feel like there was something within that conversation that I wanted to address in this video, but I don't even remember what that conversation was about now. But I remember that I wanted to. Anyway, let's dive into it. I actually, I think it's very interesting how I was talking about happiness yesterday and like the specification that's required for kind of like a genuine pursuit of happiness, like you know, fine detail, and just like like your environment, what's in your environment, how that affects you, how that makes you feel, and I'm becoming very aware of my consistent mental and emotional state, and it's genuinely become uplifted. And that's really fucking cool to be there because that means that I'm no longer pulling from the past. I'm thinking in terms of like what it is that I want in terms of manifestation and everything. I'm looking at I'm approaching life from a future standpoint rather than a past standpoint, and that's very important for me to be where I am. But yeah, something that's really interesting to me that I've been thinking about lately is like relationships and how I want to approach relationships moving forward. Um, and there are different things that I've noticed and everything. I'm gonna kind of like explore a few of those things. First and foremost is standards. Um, what I'm looking for moving forward in my life is very high standards in terms of relationships, and high standards look like bluntness, presence. What else? What else is there? Communication. That's like way up there. Communication is a must. Like not only communication, but like consistent communication. Um, that's just that's just huge for me. That's a must. So that kind of goes along the lines of like standards and everything. Boundaries, obviously, and not only that, but like also like like following through with like for myself, like on behalf of my own boundaries, the boundaries that I set for myself, and but not only that, but like there's and this has always been very difficult for me. Um, See, that's a little challenging because now I'm thinking past tense and I'm trying to think more future tense, and like every time I think past tense, I want to just grab myself out of that and be like, no, I'm somebody who sets and respects my sets, respects, and holds and maintains my boundaries regardless, right? Um, but yeah, like something that I'm looking for now in terms of course, standards and boundaries as well, is kind of like the boundaries and the standards are the most important things, because if you tolerate anything less than what it is that you're trying to create, you're going to experience less. That's just the way that it is. So like, for instance, if you set a specific boundary or specific standard, and that boundary or that standard, if the boundary is violated or if the standard is just not met, you're not going to experience life on behalf of those things. So what I'm looking at now and trying to consistently enforce for myself is standards and boundaries above everything, above relationships, of course. And of course, there's not going to be any, like disrespect or anything. It's just that's the way, that's the way that it is. Um, and another thing too that I've noticed is projection. I mean, I've been aware of projections for as long as I can fucking remember. People will never treat you how, yeah, if you want, it's simple. If you want to know how people feel about you, or no, sorry, if you want to know how people feel about themselves, just look at how they treat you. That's all. So what's the other thing? Oh yeah, so in terms of projections, like I've been like really observing like social situations and everything, and like there'll be times when it's like somebody like I don't know. When a person when person A contacts person B, um, and this person does not even know this person, but they're contacting them for a very specific reason, and right off the bat they're just like projecting. Like, I need to get to know you before I even listen to anything you fucking say. Um, because if I don't get to know you, then I won't know if I can trust you or not, right? Like, what experience do you have? And that's the thing, too. A lot of the things that people have to say is really just projections of their own experiences of life. And that's all that it is. And oftentimes, it can be regardless of whether somebody knows somebody or not. Like, more often than not, it's on a basis of not actually knowing the person. But even when there is that time, you know, it could still happen. Um, but something that I'm starting to appreciate is this aspect of neutrality, right? So, like, neutrality to me spells someone's not trying to push you out of something or pull you away from it or push you towards something or pull you towards it. They're just accepting of where you are. And that is something I personally believe is very rare. I haven't seen a whole lot of that. Um, but I believe that that aspect of social interaction in and of itself is a very rare element. And that's something that I actually want to kind of like focus on and enforce in my own life because I think that that's super fucking cool. Um, but yeah, so like what I'm looking for in my future is just like, you know, authenticity. It's what else is it? Standards, boundaries, being very aware of how people are, like how they talk, what it is that they say. Um, I'm just going to say it right off the bat right now. People are walking projectors. Like a majority, I would argue that a majority of people are walking projectors. And it's interesting because if I were to be suggesting this as my own experience and telling you that that's like even from me a projection because that's based on my experience. How have I experienced people? Oh, I've experienced them as walking projectors. And it's very interesting to kind of like conclude to. But there's a good chance that if you're not aware of your shit, if you're not aware of how you see the world, and you try to give that to other people, that's projecting. It doesn't matter whether it's, you know, low energy or I don't know. It doesn't matter if it's, you know, an idea of insufficiency or, you know, someone not being good enough or confidence. They're both projections. So this is why this idea of neutrality is so interesting for me to explore. Um, but yeah, it's really cool to be here and just like seeing like what it is that I'm looking for myself moving forward. It's very refreshing because I see my path forward in fine detail and I know exactly what it is that I'm creating and just like on a consistent basis like going after that. And here's what I learned too. Like if if uh if somebody consistently sets standards and follows through with them, right? And boundaries as well. Um, that person is going to attract people similar to that, whether it's you know friends or other. You know, like um, it doesn't. Their relationships altogether are going to attract. They're they're going to attract their relationships based on those qualities. If you are boundaryless, you're going to attract based on that. If you have standards and boundaries and you you respect your time, you respect your energy, you don't just spend it on anything and, you know, have shit be all over the fucking place, you're going to attract people based on that.